What's going on, guys? What's going on, guys? As you log in here, go ahead and let me know your name. Say hi. What's up? I'll take roll. Try to take roll. I need a pen. 1 second. All right. Okay, make sure you shoot me a comment, say hi, so I can take roll as you guys log in. Make sure you guys say hi as you log in, yeah? Mondo, gotcha. Make sure you guys say hi as you log in here. Internet's running a little slow right now. Raymond, what's going on, man? First guy up at the top of the roll sheet there. Hey, as Sean, what's going on? Make sure, or not make sure, but as you sit there or as we're sitting there, how are you doing, Alexander? If you have any questions about the class, go ahead and comment now. We got a few minutes. We got about 10 more people that need to log in and check in. So if you got a question about the class, go ahead, hit me up in the live chat here, and I'll try to get it answered for you and for everyone else too. As you're sitting there, and we're kind of waiting for everyone. Hey, as you guys are logging in, I see numbers starting to pick up here. Make sure you say hi. Ms. Tovar, how are you? Pete, what's going on? Anthony, here we go. Good. Okay. Do the split screen and get to the graphic in Canvas so you kind of have an idea of what we're talking about. If you just look at the page that's entitled Week 3 Dimensions Continue. Hi, Laura. You'll see exactly what we're talking about. We're going to kind of pick up where we left off last week. And again, if you have any questions about the class, go ahead and fire away right now as we're kind of waiting for the stragglers here to log in, and so we can get going. If you have a question, let me know. Okay. Let's give everyone a couple more minutes. Still got a few people we're waiting for. And like I said, go ahead and, if you can, get that graphic up on Canvas. We're going to continue with dimensions. And if you have any questions, let me know. Daniel, what's going on, man? I got you. It's hard sometimes. I can hear my kids yelling inside the house. So if I go, it's because I'm hearing my wife yell at my two maniacs. Okay, so far we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We got 9 people. Okay, good. We should have about 5 or 6 more logging in here any minute. So just sit tight for me. Oscar Ramirez. Got you, brother. Pete. Pete, go to, it should say week 3, dimensions continued. and it's the same wheel. I mean, you could pull up last week too. You could pull up, the graphic from last week. It's the same one. Okay, good. You got it. I've had a couple questions too, and I just wanted to quickly address it about Canvas. And to be completely honest with you, as you can probably tell, I'm not a tech guy. Obviously I know the bare bones to get on YouTube, to get stuff on Canvas, and for us to, have some type of resemblance of a class. If you're having issues uploading stuff, I would encourage you to go to some of the links for the help in Canvas. And if there's a legitimate issue, obviously I'll work with you. What I don't want, because I had this last semester, is the same 2 or 3 people always wanting to turn stuff in late because they always had an issue. And when they were done blaming, whatever person in their house, or blaming their internet or their connection or their work, then it became Canvas. Those issues have a tendency to pile up on the person who's just, the bottom line, they're just not getting it done, right? So make sure that if you do have an issue, one good thing to do is, let's say tonight, right? You'll get a question from the lecture. That's one assignment for tonight. And then you obviously have another assignment that's already in Canvas for you to answer. You'll look at the question obviously in Canvas and answer it in Canvas. If I were you, it wouldn't be a bad idea to cut and paste those and keep them in like a Word document or like an email, just in case. Let's say, hey, you try to submit it and there's an issue going on. If you email that to me, because you're not getting it uploaded to Canvas, at least I know you did the assignment before it was due. Monica, hi. And that's a good way to kind of timestamp your work. Maria, did you get my text? Did you texted me? Are we not having class today? Yeah, if that's you, yeah, we're having class today. This is it. Kind of lost my train of thought. So again, if you're I'm not saying email me your work. That's not what I want. What I'm saying is, if you're having an issue with Canvas, let's say tonight you go to upload your assignment and it's not uploading, you're having an issue with Canvas, it wouldn't be a bad idea at that point to cut and paste that into an email and maybe email it to me so you can timestamp it. But don't bombard my inbox with assignments. I already get like 30 emails a day, if not more. So don't do that. What I'm saying is, if you do run across that issue and you don't want to run up against the potential of you not getting your assignment in, that's one way to timestamp your work. Okay. With that said, Maria, I got you. We're always having class. No need to text me. My email or my phone is in my email. Don't text me and don't call me. Okay. Not a big deal that you did that tonight. Not a big deal at all. I typically don't answer my phone ever, especially if it's a number that I don't recognize. As I mentioned at the beginning of the class, the preferred way to get in touch with me is via email. We're almost always having class unless there's like some type of emergency here on my end. Or if typically I'll let you know in advance. Like if we have a week coming up where something's going on, I'm not going to be here, we're not going to have class, I'll let you know in advance, right? If you don't find a link or whatever, then, something pretty serious is happening. So with that said, let's move on. Okay. All right. So last week we talked physical wellness, emotional wellness, intellectual wellness. If you look at this wheel, there's 4 more wellnesses. Those being interpersonal wellness, spiritual wellness, and environmental wellness, and financial wellness. I'm eliminating the financial wellness per this discussion. And the reason being is because not that financial wellness isn't important. We'll definitely talk about finances, but I moved that to a couple of weeks from now. And the reason being is because I don't think it fits in this. In other words, you talk to anyone who manages money, or let's say anyone who manages wealth, right? So let's say a real estate agent, right? They manage wealth, right? They manage, it may not necessarily be financial dollars right now, but your house is worth something. And when you pay off your house, you're gaining equity. You're actually investing in yourself, if that makes sense. If you talk to anyone who manages money, anyone who manages wealth, they'll tell you it really doesn't matter how much money you make. It's what you do with it, right? So later on, a couple of weeks from now, we will have some, it's okay, Maria. We'll have some like concrete steps in what to do with your money. And you can start doing this now. It doesn't really matter how much money you have, how much money you make. There are things that you can start doing right now that honestly, if you were to start doing right now, by the time you're my age, you'll be in a lot better situation, right? A lot better situation. So instead of talking about money as a source of wellness or non-wellness or an issue of wellness, money to me is science, man. This is how you handle it. This is what you do. No questions asked, right? And so we'll kind of take that approach when we talk about finances. So anyways, tonight, interpersonal wellness, spiritual wellness, environmental wellness. Okay, number one, interpersonal wellness. When we're talking about interpersonal wellness, we're talking about the ability for you to have social capability. In other words, create good working relationships with people, create good friendships with people. In other words, it's all about how you get along, right? And a lot of the times when you talk, or if I were to ask you, hey, what are the components of someone who practices good interpersonal wellness or someone who practices good social wellness? A lot of people will talk about communication, like in its most general form, right? You got to be able to communicate, right? So let's break down communication a little bit. Obviously, we talk, right? The ability to address people respectfully, compassionately, with empathy, but also with directness. Like, do you have the ability to make your point and to make your point poignant and comprehensible and digestible for people, right? A lot of the times, if you take a class in speech, they'll talk about your audience. So yeah, that's kind of important. Knowing who you're talking to and what environment you're talking to those people in is very, very important to the verbal part of communication. The other part of communication is obviously listening, right? Not only just listening, but hearing. Are you being open to new ideas? Are you being open to that person's wishes or even demands? Are you able to use your listening to help ease people, ease stress, de-escalate situations, not escalate, but de-escalate situations? Those are crucial. And those interact together, both verbalizing and listening, right? And I think the best way to put it is you have two ears and one mouth for a reason. You should probably listen twice as much as you speak. I think if we all did that, I think our relationships would probably be significantly better for a lot of us, right? But what a lot of people don't talk about when they talk about communication is nonverbal communication, right? And I hate to say it, but what do you look like? What do you dress like? Do you look at people in the eyes? Do you smile at people? Do you reach out and shake a hand? All of these are crucial crucial. You're constantly interpreting. Your body neurologically is constantly interpreting information. In other words, you have a pen, you might be writing, you know exactly how much pressure to put on that pen without breaking the pen. You're not consciously thinking about not breaking the pen. Your body is interpreting, those nerves are interpreting that movement. You're sitting on a chair, maybe a car drive by, maybe you hear someone yell down the hallway. All of those things are being regulated by your body. The other thing your body is regulating is whether or not you find someone attractive, whether or not you find that person stimulating, whether or not you want to continue a relationship with that person. And this becomes very evident in job interviews. Very, very evident. Within minutes, people either like you or they don't. And a lot of the times it's not maybe anything you said or didn't say, or maybe you did something wrong or didn't do something wrong. It doesn't matter. People get a feeling. They get a feeling about you. They get a feeling about how you act, how you look, how you are. And is there some prejudice and discrimination in that? Of course there is. People are prejudicial and discriminatory towards one another. And I don't necessarily mean racially. I just mean in general. In general, you will begin to categorize someone the moment you look at them, whether you know you're doing it or not. So being aware that you are constantly not only interpreting your environment, but people are interpreting their environments, and therefore they're interpreting you, is crucial. So you hear things like, don't dress for the job you want, dress for the job, or don't dress for the job you have, dress for the job you want. That's a good idea. That's a good idea. Simple gestures like, if you have a 5 o'clock shift, not showing up at 4:59, rushing in the door, getting your apron on, getting there 15 minutes early, cleaning up a little bit, getting yourself ready for your shift or ready for your project or whatever work you have to do that night. Those are gestures that people interpret typically very positively, right? So just be aware that nonverbal communication, the way you're sitting, are you sitting with your arms crossed? Are you sitting with a scowl on your face? All of these things play a role in how you're perceived and how you're perceived, particularly in the work environment, when a lot of the times when work relationships or customer service is a big part of what you have to do, nonverbal communication plays a big role, right? A big, big role. That first impression is huge. It's huge. So, especially in those job interviews, when you're going into an interview, I don't know how anyone ever steps into an interview and doesn't at least formulate 5 to 10 generic questions in their mind and have those answers nailed down. I mean, when you walk into an interview, they're going to say, "Hey, Lisa, tell us about yourself." And you're going to sit there and go, that's not good. That's not good. It shows a lack of preparation. That's a generic question that everyone's going to get in an interview. And that first impression, that nonverbal communication is going to be one that's suspect or negative, right? So just be aware of it. Work on it, right? Work on it. Work on being aware. Spiritual wellness. What do we mean by spiritual wellness, right? Spiritual wellness is a process of kind of understanding your own belief system, your own value system, your own ethics, and how you roll those up to guide your life. Whatever your approach is with that, it's typically rooted in some type of at least in America, a Judeo-Christian ethic, right? And maybe you have heard or have not heard that term, but most of you probably, you value freedom, you value liberty, you value the right to choose. And I don't necessarily mean abortion. I'm just saying the right to pursue what you want to pursue. Those values typically have an altruistic nature. And what do I mean by that? I mean that most of the time, people will practice spiritual wellness by obviously the obvious ones: going to church, praying, meditating, God, Buddha, Allah, whatever it is. Those definitely play a role in spiritual wellness. But I think for most people, spiritual wellness is rooted in the idea that they want to be a part of something bigger than them, right? So whether that be religion, be church, it may not be for some of you, and that's okay. Some of you, maybe it's a social cause. Some of you, maybe it's a team or a club or a group or an organization. I have a friend that reads to kids in East LA over at a Boys and Girls Club. Every Tuesday he goes, he reads, and then he shoots hoops with kids. He just spends time with kids who don't have parents. He wants to give back. He wants to have a little bit of duty. He has a little bit of conviction. He has a feeling of strong feelings about helping people out, right? And although you may or may not have those strong feelings about helping people out, I think most of us probably feel that we're part of something bigger than us, whether that be the universe or God, or you're a lawyer practicing law because you believe generally in law, or you're a doctor because you believe in helping people, or an x-ray tech because you believe that you're helping people. That's spiritual wellness, right? So recognize it as so. Recognize the fact that you care for others, that you have a sense of meaning and purpose in your life, and that you're doing something of greater value than just, monetary gain, right? That's all spiritual wellness really is. It doesn't necessarily have to be a Christian view, a religious view. It doesn't have to be that. That's typically, most people find kind of a spiritual awakening in giving, right? In helping, in being there for people who maybe are going through a tough time, or who are downtrodden, right? Or maybe not as financially well off, or what have you, right? So it manifests itself a lot. You go out to some of these little league games. There's guys that go out there and umpire. They're not doing it for the money. I promise you. You get what, like $10 a game? They're not doing that for the money. They're doing it because they want to give back to the community, because they think little league baseball or pony baseball or youth soccer is important for the development of a community. That in itself is spiritual, right? That's good, practicing good spiritual wellness. The last one for the night, environmental. So when we talk about environmental wellness, there's kind of three different areas. We have, number one, we have like globally the environment, like pollution and clean water, right? CO2 emissions, like environmental issues. And then we have like your personal environment, right? And then we have what we call your work environment. So let's talk about the personal and the work environment first, because your assignment for the night, or the lecture question, is going to be based off like the environmental aspect of environmental wellness. So personally, are you a disaster? What does your room look like? Is it a mess? Do you know where your social security card is? What about your birth certificate? Are those things filed away? What about the credit card agreement that you signed, right? Or your loan papers for the car that you got this last year? Are those readily available? Do you know where they're at? What does your car look like? Is it a disaster inside? Can you never find your license and registration? Is there, a bunch of crap in your trunk all the time and you can't find your workout shoes? What about your kind of personal calendar? Do you write stuff down? Or is your desk organized? Your book bag for school, your school bag, a bunch of papers rolling around the bottom. They look like they've gone through the wash machine a couple times, or are they organized in a folder? Do you know how and where to find stuff? Are you on top of your stuff? Those are crucial, right? Those are very crucial. Work environment. Maintaining a safe work environment is crucial, right? Really, really crucial. I used to work in a lot of bars and restaurants, and I always cringed when I was behind the bar and I'd see a busser grabbing glasses and forks, and then he'd duck behind the bar and take a bite of his burger or a bite of his French fries. And I'm always thinking, oh, God, you just grabbed 30 glasses off 30 different tables, and now you're eating. I've seen landscapers grab weed and feed with their bare hand and just throw it out on the grass. And I always think to myself, man, why are you exposing yourself to that? So when you're at work, wear the gloves, wear the protective equipment, do those things, especially if you're around a lot of chemicals. If you're the guy at Walmart who has to clean the bathrooms, put the mask and stuff on, man. You don't want that stuff spraying and splashing in your face. There's forms of hepatitis that can live outside the body in a dry environment for like 14 days, right? You don't want that stuff, right? So make sure at work, in your workplace, you're protecting yourself appropriate, all of those things, right? Make sure you're taking care of yourself. You're taking care of the safety aspect of your work. Okay, and then lastly, the environment. When we're talking about the actual environment, right? Probably the most important thing, and a lot of people will say, well, you need to recycle, right? But ultimately what you need to do is reduce, right? Reduce the amount, particularly of plastics, but all materials. Getting yourself a tumbler, like a good water bottle to have that you can refill, is good for the environment. Repurposing things, like I repurpose cardboard all the time. Don't ask me why. Kids love cardboard. I get a cardboard box from Amazon and just throw it to the kids. They have a great time with it. They put stuff in, they shove the cat in there, they draw on it. They pull each other around in cardboard boxes. They do all kinds of stuff with cardboard. Repurposing material is important, right? Very, very important. Here's your question for the night. There's a very important principle when talking about the environment, and particularly in how it relates to economics. In other words, one of the ways we maintain the environment is through economic means, right? So here's your question. I want you to Google, let me type this in the live chat here. I want you to Google the principle of user pays and environmental economics. And simply define it. That's all you got to do. So you have two assignments tonight, right? You have your assignment, but you also have your question based off the lecture. And the lecture question is this. I want you to Google the principle of user pays, right? So there's a principle, and I'll type it this way too. There's an economic principle called user pays, and it's a principle theory that's used in environmental economics, right? I want you to Google it. I want you to read about it. I want you to find its definition. And our 9-1 lecture question is define the principle of user pays in environmental economics. That's all we got to do, okay? And then obviously you have your week 3 assignment 2, okay? That's due tonight as well. Does anyone have any questions? Pretty simple. I made it so. Congratulations. You're making it through Mr. Griego's health class. Any questions? Okay. If I don't see any emails from you guys tonight or the next couple of days, have a good Labor Day weekend. Stay healthy. Don't drink and drive. Be good. Stay COVID free. Deuces. Later.